The Eliani dreadnought exploded into a blinding supernova of radiant plasma and shattered alloy, just seconds after General Adam Rice awoke from cryo sleep. Adam blinked rapidly, almost choking on the mucus-like cryo fluid he coughed up from his lungs. The wail of proximity alarms and the scream of emergency klaxons assaulted him as he shook off the cryo-sleep daze. The walls shook violently and the overhead lights flickered. "Status report," Adam barked. "General, Eliani ships just wiped out our escorts," a panicked crewman yelled over the din. "We have critical damage to decks 4 through 11, and shields are down to 30%. We need to get out of here now." Adam pulled himself upright and stumbled out of the cryopod. He grabbed a bulkhead for support as the floor pitched under his feet. The ship shuddered again as another explosion rocked the hull. His mind raced as he tried to make sense of the situation. The aliens attacking his battlecruiser were called the Eliani, but he had never heard of them before. He had entered stasis expecting a normal crew rotation, not to be thrown into the middle of a furious space battle. The crew somehow knew him by name and rank, though. "General, what are your orders?" the crewman asked, eyes wide with fear and desperation. Orders. They thought he was in command. Adam's gut clenched as the full ramifications struck him. He had gone into cryosleep as a colonel 20 years ago, preparing for a 4-year deep space tour on the EAS Saturn. Now he was a general on a badly damaged ship he didn't even recognize, fighting unknown aliens with a crew that apparently expected him to save the day. What the hell had happened? Adam opened his mouth, unsure what orders he could even give. Before he could speak, a holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the cryo bay. A ragged-looking man in a torn and burnt admiral's uniform stood at attention. The hologram stuttered, the image destabilizing from heavy damage to the ship's systems. "General, if you are seeing this, then Operation Stonewall has failed. We tried our best to hold the line, but the Eliani broke through. They now have a straight shot to Earth." Adam's blood ran cold. This message was his reality now, not some twisted dream. The Admiral continued gravely. "You and the crew of the EAS Odyssey are our last hope. We put you into stasis in a desperate bid to preserve your tactical brilliance for when we would need it most. You won't have much to work with. The Odyssey is badly undermanned, barely functional, and decades out of date compared to current Eliani tech. But you're Adam Goddamn Rice, the hero of the Orion War. If anyone can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, it's you." The Admiral looked straight at Adam, his pixelated eyes boring into him. "The Eliani think we're finished, that we're pitiful, broken creatures just waiting to be put out of our misery. They think exterminating us will be easy. Prove them wrong, General. Remind them why even gods once feared to go to war against the human race. You carry the hopes and prayers of all mankind. Godspeed." The hologram abruptly cut out as another explosion shook the Odyssey. Adam clenched his fists, his jaw tightening with grim determination. So this was it then. Humanity's back was against the wall. Their fleets smashed, armies shattered, colonies burned to cinders. All that stood between the human race and the void of extinction was one battered ship, a skeleton crew, and him. The last best hope for mankind, the final defender on the wall. Adam had never backed down from a fight in his life. He sure as hell wasn't about to start now, even against impossible odds. Squaring his shoulders and lifting his chin, Adam faced the crew, his eyes blazing with defiance and resolve. "Plot an FTL course out of here now," he ordered, his voice hard as steel. The crew rushed to obey as Adam began mentally putting together a battle plan. If the Eliani wanted to wipe out the human race, they were going to find out the hard way that even broken and battered, humanity would never stop fighting. They may lose in the end, but by all that was holy, the aliens would bleed for every inch. He had a war to win and a species to save, starting now. Against all odds, at any cost. Time to show the galaxy what one pissed-off human could do. Adam gripped the chairs of the captain's chair as the Odyssey dropped out of FTL speed, decelerating rapidly. The ship shuddered, alarms wailing as enemy plasma fire exploded against the hull. "Target acquired, General," Lieutenant Mira Joshi reported from the tactical station. Eliani outpost dead ahead. All hands, battle stations, Adam ordered over the ship-wide comms. Prep boarding pods and ready all forward cannons. This was their 5th lightning raid in as many days. Strike fast, hit hard, and bug out before the Eliani could muster a response. Death by 1,000 cuts. Adam knew they couldn't win a straight-up slugging match, so they had to fight dirty and mean. The Odyssey's engines roared as the ship plunged towards the outpost, the crew laser-focused at their stations. Adam felt a surge of pride at their discipline and grit. They may be outgunned and flying a relic, but his people were a scrappy bunch. "Cannons locked on target," Mira called out. "Firing in 3, 2. A salvo of tungsten rounds erupted from the Odyssey's gun batteries, slamming into the outpost's reactor core. The structure exploded in a blinding flash, debris pinwheeling through space. "Confirmed direct hit," Mira whooped. "Outpost is toast, General." "Well done, people," Adam said. "Helm, bring us about and get us the hell out of here. The roaches will be crawling all over us any second." No sooner had the words left his mouth when a dozen Eliani warships dropped out of FTL, plasma cannons already glowing with charge. "Incoming hostiles!" Mira yelled. The deck pitched violently as the first plasma salvo struck home. The lights flickered, and a console exploded in a shower of sparks. "Shields down to 60%, someone shouted over the chaos. "FTL drive still spooling up." Adam grimaced. A few more solid hits and they were space dust. He opened his mouth to bark out an order when the sensor station pinged urgently. "General, I'm picking up a high-priority data burst from that outpost," Ensign Liu said, fingers flying over his console. "It looks like troop movement orders and battle plans. If we can decrypt it, it could give us a major edge," Adam finished, mind racing. This was the break they needed. "Liu, pull that data and pipe it to the CIC. Helm, I need FTL now. Get some distance between us and those ships." The crew scrambled to comply as more plasma rounds hammered the Odyssey's faltering shields. The deck shuddered and groaned, the ship fighting to break free from the Eliani's deadly embrace. With an ear-splitting roar, the FTL drive finally engaged, stars blurring into streaks of light as the Odyssey leaped into faster-than-light speed. Adam sagged back in his chair, inwardly breathing a sigh of relief. They had hurt the Eleni today and snatched vital intel right out from under them. But the narrow escape was a stark reminder of how outmatched they were. One mistake, 1 second too slow, and it would be all over. Adam pursed his lips, fresh grit surging through him. Let the Eliani come. He wasn't done making them bleed. Not by a long shot. The Odyssey limped away from the skirmish, its hull scorched and battered, but its crew newly emboldened. In the CIC, Adam pored over the decrypted data, a plan beginning to take shape in his mind. It was a gamble, maybe even a suicide mission, but if it worked... He looked up at the expectant faces of his bridge crew. "Listen up, people. I know we're hurting, but we've got a golden opportunity here. The Eliani think they're invincible, but this data says otherwise. I've got a plan to bring those arrogant roaches to their knees, but it's going to take guts, grit, and a whole lot of crazy. Who's with me?" A fierce cheer erupted from the assembled crew, fists raised in affirmation. Adam nodded grimly, pride and purpose surging through him. Damn right. Despite the challenges, this band of underdogs was about to show the galaxy what humanity was made of. Time to take the fight to the enemy. Over the following weeks, Adam orchestrated a series of daring raids, each one meticulously planned to maximize impact and sow chaos within the Eliani ranks. Weapons depots, communication relays, supply convoys, anything that kept the alien war machine rolling became a target. And at every turn, the Odyssey was there, striking like lightning before slipping away, leaving confusion and destruction in its wake. Cade, the Eliani commander, found himself increasingly flummoxed, his every attempt to corner the human raiders proving fruitless. Adam's crew fought with inspired ferocity, their spirits buoyed by every successful mission. They jury-rigged repairs, scavenged parts, and stretched every resource to the breaking point, refusing to back down in the face of overwhelming odds. The once derelict ship now buzzed with purpose, every hand driven by the knowledge that they were all that stood between humanity and extinction. But Adam knew that hit-and-run tactics alone wouldn't win the war. They needed to land a decisive blow, something to shake the Eliani to their core and shatter their aura of invincibility. As he studied the intelligence gathered from their raids, a daring idea began to take shape. The Eliani command network had a vulnerability, a weakness that could be exploited with the right bait. Adam gathered his senior staff, his face lined with unbreakable spirit. "We have a chance to turn the tide, but it's going to take the biggest bluff in human history. If we pull this off, we can cripple the Eliani's ability to coordinate their forces. But if it goes wrong..." He met each of their gazes in turn. "I won't lie to you, this is damn near a suicide mission. But we're the only ones in a position to do it, the only ones who might be crazy enough to try. So what do you say? Ready to roll the dice one more time?" The answering grins from his crew were all the response he needed. Despite the challenges, the broken, battered dregs of humanity still had some fight left in them. And woe to any alien invader who underestimated that tenacity. The trap was set with meticulous care. False intelligence was leaked through resistance channels, hinting at a secret human fleet amassing near a remote moon. The lure proved irresistible to Kaid, the chance to wipe out the last of the human resistance in one fell swoop too tempting to ignore. As a significant portion of the Eliani forces converged on the supposed fleet coordinates, the Odyssey made its move. Using the command network vulnerability, Adam's ship slipped past the enemy's weakened defenses, embarking on a near-suicidal assault on the Eliani headquarters ship overseeing the Earth invasion. The human crew fought like demons, hurling themselves at the Eliani with a ferocity born of desperation and vengeance. In the chaos of the battle, Adam found himself face-to-face with Zolir, Kaid's second-in-command and a formidable warrior in his own right. The human and the Eliani clashed in a brutal hand-to-hand battle, Adam's raw grit and drive pitted against Zolir's genetically enhanced strength and speed. Though battered and bloodied, Adam refused to yield, his every blow fueled by the weight of the billions of lives riding on his shoulders. With a final desperate lunge, he brought Zolir down, the Eliani commander's defeat a symbolic strike against the myth of his species' superiority. As the Odyssey's attack ravaged the command ship, the Eliani forces on Earth found themselves suddenly directionless, the intricate web of battlefield coordination unraveling without the headquarters' guidance. The human resistance surged forward in a fierce counterattack, catching the disoriented Eliani troops off guard. After so many bitter defeats, the once-conquered race fought with the strength of cornered animals, determined to make the invaders pay dearly for every inch of their homeworld. News of the headquarters' fall and Adam's triumph spread like wildfire through the occupied territories, a spark of hope kindling into the flames of full-fledged rebellion. On a dozen worlds, downtrodden humans took up arms, rising against their alien overlords with a fury that burned all the hotter for the long years of subjugation. And on the bridge of his battered warship, Adam Rice, the man out of time, the hero of a desperate hour, stood tall against the looming specter of extinction. The road ahead was still long and drenched in blood and sacrifice, but humanity would not go gently into the night. They would rage, they would fight, and they would make the universe tremble. Kaid, his forces in disarray and his prize slipping from his grasp, seethed with baleful wrath. The upstart human and his band of rebels had made a fool of him for the last time. Abandoning the hunt for the Phantom Fleet, the Eliani commander gathered his most trusted warriors and turned his burning gaze towards Earth. He would crush this impertinent resistance and grind its leader to dust beneath his heel. The battle for humanity's cradle had only begun. Adam's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. The Odyssey hung in the void, engines cold and systems running silent. His crew waited, tense and ready. "There," he said, pointing to a cluster of red dots. "Eliani Supply Depot. Perfect target." Lieutenant Joshi nodded. "Sensors show minimal defenses, sir. We can be in and out before they know what hit them." "Do it." The Odyssey's engines flared to life as they streaked towards the unsuspecting Eliani outpost. Plasma cannons blazed, tearing through the depot's shields. Boarding pods launched, disgorging teams of human commandos. Within minutes, the depot was a smoking ruin. The Odyssey vanished back into the darkness of space, leaving confusion and destruction in its wake. Over the next weeks, Adam unleashed a relentless campaign of hit-and-run strikes. Fuel depots, communications arrays, shipyards, nowhere was safe. The Eliani found themselves constantly on the back foot, struggling to defend against an enemy that melted away before they could respond. On the bridge of his flagship, Cade seethed with rage. Reports of fresh attacks poured in hourly. His staff cowered as he stalked the command deck. "Enough!" he roared. "I will crush this human vermin myself. Gather the fleet, all of it." Across Eliani space, warships answered the call. A vast armada assembled, thousands of vessels strong. Cade would annihilate the humans once and for all. Adam knew the odds, his battered ship and ragtag crew against the might of the Eliani war machine, but he had a plan. The Odyssey limped into a sprawling asteroid field, trailing debris and venting atmosphere, a juicy target. Cade's fleet swept in for the kill. Eliani warships pushed deeper into the asteroid field, sensors straining to track their prey. Adam allowed himself a grim smile. Now. Throughout the field, stealth mines flickered to life. Eliani ships found themselves suddenly surrounded by swarms of decoys and explosive traps. Chaos erupted as the mines detonated in precisely timed sequences. Eliani vessels collided with asteroids or each other as they tried to evade. Explosions bloomed silently in the void. In the heart of the maelstrom, the Odyssey and Cade's flagship squared off. The two vessels danced and wheeled through the asteroid field, exchanging salvos of searing plasma and kinetic rounds. Adam's hands flew over his console, barking orders as he pushed his ship to its limits. The Odyssey shuddered under repeated impacts, but gave as good as it got. Bit by bit, the human ship wore down its larger opponent. Cade's shields flickered and failed. Victory was within Adam's grasp. Then alarms shrieked across the Odyssey's bridge. Sensors detected a massive energy spike from Cade's ship. Adam's blood ran cold as he realized what he was seeing. Some kind of doomsday weapon, capable of obliterating everything for light years. There was only one option left. Adam set his jaw and plotted a collision course. "It's been an honor," he told his crew. Then he rammed the Odyssey straight into Cade's flagship. The two vessels vanished in a cataclysmic explosion. The doomsday device overloaded, its energies turned inward. In his final moments, Adam transmitted everything he'd learned about the Eliani superweapon to resistance cells across the galaxy. His sacrifice would not be in vain. The loss of their leader and secret weapon broke the Eliani. Newly emboldened human forces surged forward, liberating occupied worlds one by one. Within weeks, the war that had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction was over. The Eliani sued for peace, utterly defeated. Adam Rice had saved his species from annihilation through sheer grit and the willingness to make the ultimate sacrifice. His name would be honored for generations to come, a testament to the unbreakable human spirit. The long night was over. A new day dawned for humanity among the stars. The loss of Adam Rice left a gaping hole in the human resistance, but his final transmission ignited a new fire in their hearts. Across hidden labs and secret bunkers, scientists and engineers pored over the data he'd sacrificed everything to obtain. Dr. Eliza Chen, leading the analysis team on Luna Base, felt her eyes burning as she stared at holographic schematics of the Eliani doomsday device. "This thing's power output is off the charts," she muttered, running simulations on her datapad. "If they manage to fire it at Earth..." Her colleague, Dr. Ramirez, shook his head. "Let's focus on finding a weakness. Adam didn't die for us to give up now." Meanwhile, light years away, the Eliani fleet hung in disarray. Cade's flagship drifted as a burnt-out husk, and his subordinates wasted no time in turning on each other. Zolir stood on the bridge of his warship, surveying the carnage with cold satisfaction. "Pathetic," he spat, watching Eliani cruisers exchange fire. Is this what we've become? Squabbling children? He strode to the command console, activating a fleet-wide broadcast. Attention all Eliani forces. I, Zolir, claim leadership of our people. Those who oppose me will be crushed. Those who join me will share in the glory of our final victory against the human vermin. Zolir's eyes gleamed as he outlined his plan to the assembled officers. We will unleash the doomsday device on Earth itself. Let their homeworld burn, and watch their spirit crumble to ash. Unbeknownst to Zolir, his transmission echoed through comm arrays jury-rigged by human resistance fighters. In a hidden command center, General Yuki Tanaka's face hardened as she listened. This is our chance, she said to her staff. They're divided. We strike now, or Earth burns. Sarah Renwick, her face lined with grief and persistence, nodded. I'll lead the strike team personally, for Adam. As Sarah's team prepped for their desperate assault on the Eliani shipyards, other human strike forces moved into position. Cloaked shuttles slipped past distracted patrols, carrying elite assassins and saboteurs. On a dozen Eliani worlds, carefully planted seeds of discord began to sprout. Rival warlords, emboldened by the power vacuum, turned their guns on each other. Eliani soldiers, fed a steady diet of propaganda and lies, found themselves questioning everything as human agents whispered truths into receptive ears. Sarah's team infiltrated the massive shipyards under cover of this chaos. They crept through maintenance tunnels and ventilation shafts, their path cleared by resistance hackers who manipulated security systems. There it is, Sarah breathed, peering through a grate at the looming bulk of the doomsday device. Let's finish this. But Zolir was no fool. As alarms blared across the shipyards, he snarled orders to his personal guard. Find the humans, crush them. What followed was a deadly game of cat and mouse through the labyrinthine complex. Sarah's team split up, drawing Eliani forces away from their true objective. Plasma bolts sizzled past Sarah's head as she sprinted down a corridor, her heart pounding. In the device's core chamber, Sarah faced off against Zolir's elite guards. The air crackled with energy as human grit clashed with Eliani technology. Sarah's team fought with everything they had, each one driven by the memory of Adam's sacrifice. With seconds to spare, Sarah reached the central console. Her fingers flew across alien controls, inputting the virus designed to corrupt the weapon systems. Alarms shrieked as the doomsday device began to destabilize. Time to go, Sarah shouted, urging her battered team towards their escape craft. They ran through corridors filled with panicking Eliani, the entire structure shuddering around them. Their shuttle barely cleared the shipyards as the doomsday device tore itself apart in a cataclysmic explosion. The blinding flash and shockwave rippled across space, leaving Zolir's ambitions in ruins. As news of the superweapon's destruction spread, the fragile Eliani alliance shattered completely. On 100 worlds, oppressed populations rose up, seizing their chance for freedom. The mighty Eliani war machine, once seemingly unstoppable, ground to a halt under the weight of its own internal conflicts and the relentless human counterattack. Sarah, watching the aftermath from her shuttle's viewport, allowed herself a small, grim smile. "This one's for you, Adam," she whispered. "We're not done fighting yet." The destruction of the doomsday device left a power vacuum in the Eliani Empire. Zolir, once a proud commander, now lurked in the shadows of a derelict space station on the fringes of known space. His eyes, once clear and piercing, now held a manic gleam as he pored over ancient data crystals. "Look at this," he hissed to his followers, gesturing at a holographic display. "Our ancestors nearly destroyed themselves with this power. We will harness it and obliterate the humans." In a hidden chamber, Zolir's scientists labored over bizarre machinery. Energy crackled between alien components as they pieced together fragments of forbidden technology. The air itself seemed to warp and twist around their creation. Meanwhile, on a liberated human world, Sarah Renwick received an urgent transmission. Her face paled as she listened to the encrypted message from a deep cover agent. "General Tanaka," she said, turning to her superior, We have a problem. Tanaka's brow furrowed as she read the report. This can't be right. The energy readings are off the charts. It's worse than that, Sarah replied. If these calculations are correct, Zolir isn't just building a weapon. He's trying to tear open the fabric of reality itself. Alarms blared across the base as the full implications sank in. Within hours, a strike team assembled in the hangar bay. Sarah stood before a motley crew of hardened veterans, human, Eliani defectors, and even a few representatives of neutral species. I won't lie to you, she said. This mission is likely one way, but if we fail, there won't be a galaxy left to come back to. Their ships streaked across the stars, racing against time. As they neared Zolir's hidden base, the very fabric of space began to distort around them. Strange energies lashed the hull, and Sarah's pilot fought to maintain control. They crash-landed on an airless moon, the twisted spires of Zolir's fortress looming before them. Sarah led her team through winding corridors, dispatching crazed guards with ruthless efficiency. The air grew thick with an otherworldly presence that set their teeth on edge. In the heart of the complex, they found Zolir. The Eliani commander's form had warped into something monstrous, tendrils of cosmic energy writhing around him. A pulsing rift hung in the air behind him, threatening to engulf all of existence. You're too late, humans, Zolir's voice boomed, distorted and inhuman. Witness the birth of a new universe, one purged of your filthy kind. Sarah's team fought desperately against waves of corrupted minions. One by one, her comrades fell to buy her time. She raced towards the containment device, priming the tactical singularity. Zolir's clawed hand closed around her throat, lifting her off the ground. Sarah stared into eyes that held the madness of collapsing galaxies. You've lost everything, Zolir snarled. Was it worth it, human? Sarah managed a bloody grin. Ask me in oblivion. She jammed the singularity into the rift. Space and time buckled as the two forces collided. Sarah felt herself being torn apart at the molecular level, the roar of cosmic forces drowning out everything else. In that last moment, as reality itself unraveled around them, she heard Zolir's final words. Know this, human. In the null void at the end of all things, you have my grudging respect. Then there was only light and silence. Across the galaxy, worlds shuddered as a massive shockwave rippled outward. When it passed, Zolir's fortress and the surrounding system had simply ceased to exist. Stunned silence fell over command centers and newsrooms alike as the implications sank in. In the following days, as the dust settled and the threat of annihilation receded, questions began to arise. What price had truly been paid for this victory? What cosmic forces had been unleashed?
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.